4 weeks, the Trump administration has tried to distract from the severity of the Jeffrey Epstein files, drowning out the voices of the survivors. Teresa Helm, who says she was sexually assaulted by Epstein in 2002, recently told NBC News how all of the discussion of Epstein adds to all of their anguish, writing in an email, quote, "When a person's abusers are repeatedly flashed in view at any given moment, and especially when promises of justice and promises of structures of power finally being held to account, to then essentially have the door shut in your face and no longer open for business, then what?" Teresa Helm joins us now. She's a survivor services coordinator for the National Center on Sexual Exploitation. Teresa, one, thank you for being here. And most importantly, thank you for your continued work with survivors. And we know how important that work is, especially now. I kind of want to start right there. You also told NBC News that trauma is never one and done. Can you talk about what it is like watching, us watching members of Congress, watching the president talking about this over and over and over again, and, on the Republican side and with Donald Trump kind of acting as if this isn't a big deal?
Well, good morning. First, thank you for having me. It's good to see you too. I feel that it's a lot. I think, to sum it up, there is so much controversy. There is so much residual and ongoing heartache from not only my experience, but the experiences of so many women that have been harmed by these people. So, to be honest, it seems like a spectacle ongoing, whether it's one side or the other. Everyone is up in arms about it, and as they should be. However, I do often wonder if what we're up in arms about is really focused on what it should be. And justice is absolutely imminent in this situation. Holding those to account for the crimes that they've committed is extremely important. And so then we're left with this, it seems, this looming question of how do we get there? Because it's not as clear and concise of a pathway forward to justice as even it was made out to be previously, which adds to the ongoing disappointment. I do say the re-traumatization of the events that have happened in the past, the ongoing rise and fall, even, is how it feels. It induces a lot of trauma that we fight every day to heal and grow from. And when we come up against these seemingly walls that we just can't seem to scale, then it creates a heaviness. And I also would like to say that within that heaviness, though, there continues to be this fire. I can say for myself for sure, there's a fire within us, I would say, in survivors, which is how a person gets through something so terrible and continues on, because there's a tremendous amount of hope and a tremendous amount of fire within us that we're able to keep burning and carry on. So there's a huge amount of disappointment lately, confusion. That's what I keep coming back to, is a lot of confusion on what's actually happening.
Teresa, at the beginning of the show, I played a soundbite from Maria Farmer, as you know, another Epstein survivor. And she said in the clip that we showed, she's never met a more predatory human being in her entire life than Ghislaine Maxwell. One, do you agree with that characterization? And two, how does it make you feel to know that the number 2 person in the Justice Department just spent 2 days alone with her, talking to her about the case, and now all the talk is about, well, what's going to come of it? Could a pardon come from those conversations?
I can say my experience with Ghislaine Maxwell. So what's interesting about what Maria has stated about her, I agree with that. And here is why. My time with her with Gilan, she didn't come out of, I didn't go to her beautiful home in New York City and meet her, and she did not present herself as evil and as a monster and as someone that's going to put my life or my well-being in harm's way. She came at me with politeness, with openness, with friendliness, with making emotional connections with me, with the ability then to build this trust with me within hours. So her presence and her approach to me was so meticulously calculated that her intention behind all of this, I would even say, beautiful humanitarian woman to woman interaction, it was all to fool me. It was all to get me to think one thing and believe that I was in as I said, a safe and healthy environment, when actually she was setting me up to then go into tragedy. So I don't know anybody that can be an inherently good person that can do something like that. It is a significant and severe disconnect from humanity. And so now when I'm contemplating and learning and listening about potential deals being stricken or released from prison, what comes to mind a few times already is, are we actually going to have another sweetheart deal here in the state of Florida, where she is, given some reduced type sentence? I don't feel good about it at all, because I do take into consideration, and I feel like everyone should, the fact that she has been charged with perjury. She's already risen her right hand and sworn under oath that she would tell the truth and nothing but the truth, and she sat there and lied. So I am not certain how I'm not certain how this is all going to pan out. I do know that the emotions are high and the questions are running rampant in my mind of what it might look like if something like that were to proceed and she were to get released from prison. What then? What should we all think and feel then? How concerned? I would be very concerned. For my safety even, I would be concerned.
Teresa, the conversation in Washington, D.C. and around the country right now is about whether or not the file should be released. What we know and what you know is that within that file is, I think, at least 1,000 survivors' information, descriptions, possible pictures and videos in that file. Do you believe, and I don't think anyone's opinion matters more than one of the survivors, on whether or not these files should be released. Do you think these files should be released?
I think that what they say they're going to do, it should be done. I believe that there are, and again, I cannot speak for other survivors necessarily in this matter. I can speak for myself. And while my experience is different, there aren't people, that I was trafficked to, and I do understand that some women have had that experience. Ghislaine Maxwell and the women that helped them get me to Jeffrey's home that night is who I have had my experience with. And so there's clearly people there. There's multiple people in that instance, and that's just my one-time experience. There are so many women that had so much more experience, unfortunately, with them. So if they feel it's important to have these names, I stand by them. Of course, I feel that there are people that should be held to account. We can't continue to protect and provide salvation for these predators that have harmed so many and then continue to do their daily job and go home every evening. The justice in that is severely and significantly out of balance. And I think that we need to take it back to the fundamental human dignity comes first, and it should.
Teresa Helm, thank you for coming to The Weekend, but more importantly, thank you, to reiterate what Eugene said, thank you for speaking up and for your work on behalf of sexual abuse survivors. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day.